And we're live, allegedly. What's going on? My name is Dylan.
My name's Leslie.
And this is Dylan Talks Tone. This is our live weekly Q&A that we also strip out the audio and send it to a podcast. I wanted to keep mentioning that because so you can go to Spotify, you can go to Apple Podcasts, you can go to wherever and catch the audio portion of this sometime tomorrow. It comes out on Fridays as a podcast. So thanks for hanging out. Yeah, pretty cool. That's such a catchy little theme jingle. Anyway, so we're going to talk Q&A stuff. I've got some things to update you on as well. So we'll use questions that came in from Patreon and also from YouTube members. So you can join in the links below for either of those things. A little join button for the YouTube side and for Patreon for the other side. We had a really fun workshop this last week where I made some pickups that I don't usually make for sale, but we're building a guitar from it's a kit, but we're gonna kind of put our own spin on it, and we're doing all the work as live as possible in our monthly Patreon workshops. So and it's crazy. It's a tele build, but it's a crazier one than I normally do. And we also have some surprises coming up for that you may not know about yet because I have not told you. I haven't even told the Patreon people. So pretty top secret stuff there. It's pretty cool. We're coming at you from Central Tennessee still. We'll be here for another 2 weeks or another couple weeks and in and out. The top secret thing I can't talk about is
Still secret.
it's still secret, and I still can't talk about it. But it is also why you will see a lot of Tennessee this summer as we continue our travels around mostly Tennessee, staying kind of close to the thing I can't talk about. So, yeah, so that's what's going on there. We are in Tennessee, which is the whiskey state. I don't know if that's like official or anything.
I don't know. What Kentucky's bourbon, huh?
Yeah. So
Maybe Tennessee whiskey. It's a song.
it is. So there is a new distillery about 20 minutes from here, and they have this 2-year bourbon, which is actually not very old, obviously, for bourbon. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. I haven't even poured it yet. It's pretty good. It needs another 3 years.
Because they're about to have a 4-year.
They are, yeah. They're about to have
really new, just young. So.
And it's good. I mean, it's good. It's just you can tell as bourbon ages, you can tell it's less corny. Really. So, So there's that. That's what we're drinking there. You just have water, huh?
I just have water.
And water tonight.
Super exciting.
I drank water last week. That sparkly stuff, whatever that's called.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And let's see what else we got going this week. A couple of other news items. I sold my Shoreline Gold Tele. And so selling the Shoreline Gold Tele is the reason why we're going to talk about what's in the thumbnail tonight. So we'll get to that in a few minutes because I didn't think that through very well. So we're going to get to that in a few minutes, but we're going to answer some questions first. I also crashed my Mavic Air 2 from about 75 feet. It fell straight onto the ground and broke into a few pieces. So I had to buy a new drone. So I got the Mavic Air 2S that came in yesterday. I haven't even got to fly it yet because weather and being busy with the things I can't talk about. So, it's been crazy. We're trying to do our best to keep up and stay a week ahead on the videos and have a bunch of content on Patreon. But as you may see, if you're a Patreon member, I made a post about it over there yesterday or this morning. Like, I don't even know what day it is, because between the thing I can't talk about, between all the pickups we have to build, and the 4 videos a week that we are now producing, it's a little hectic around here.
And we're functioning in the wrong time zone. That's always tough to me.
Yeah, because we're in Central Time, and
Working on Eastern time.
it's raining every day.
Yeah.
And when you live in a motorhome, that makes it difficult, because you get stuck inside, and it's a smaller space. And so, she has a meeting. I can't shoot a video while she's in a meeting at work. So, it's been tough. I've been like going out in between breaks and rain. I think you saw it probably on the news, the gear news update. I literally like went out there, shot a story, started raining, came back in. Went back out there, shot another story, started raining, came back in. Like, that's just the way we've been having to do it. So
Somebody said, how did your drone fall from 75 feet?
it was just pilot error, literally pilot error. It was there's like a 75-foot canopy over us, and I was trying to shoot a gap. The sunset was beautiful that night. This was 2 days ago, or Sunday night or Monday night, or whenever that was. Monday night. And I was trying to shoot a gap through the canopy, like the tree canopy, and I missed. And it got literally stuck in a tree and was like, went crazy and did a bunch of stuff. And then the props completely stopped, and it just fell 75 feet and landed flat on its belly on the ground, cracked the case, the gimbal flew off, the camera's broken, it's in bad shape. There's a bent arm. I was actually kind of tossing around the idea of sending it to DJI and see just how much it would cost to fix it. I don't know. Because if it was, let's say it was a couple $100 to fix it, I could at least sell it working. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. So do we want to get into some of these Patreon questions? And then once we go through the Patreon questions, then Leslie's got some questions that she's pulling out of the feed. So ask them in the feed. And as long as Super Chats keep coming, we stay live. That's how this works. So we try to get to as many people as possible, but sometimes we miss you. So if you don't want to be missed, ask them on Patreon or use a Super Chat to get bumped to the top of the list. And when you Super Chat and you ask Patreon questions, we put your junk on the screen, just like this.
Put your junk on the screen.
That's right. Thomas says, hi, Dylan and Leslie. Love all your YouTube videos and the way you explain everything, probably. Your help over the last weekend was greatly appreciated. I can hardly wait to get my order. He ordered some pickups. I can't remember what, though. He said next time we're in Oklahoma City to come and say hello. So that wasn't really a question, but he did put it over there on Patreon, so I wanted to make sure that we share that. And I'm glad to know that you're in Oklahoma City.
Yep. Thanks, Thomas.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Charles, same thing, didn't have a question either, but he said he wasn't going to make it, but I wanted to. Because there's a post over there on Patreon, and then there's one that we post for the YouTube members, and so I try to share everybody that is a part of that thing. Let's see. Sean had a question. What are the differences between strings designed for an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar? Is there a reason acoustic strings are not as easily bent when playing, and is there a solution? So this comes down to, and I didn't know a whole lot about this. I actually learned this from Scott at Stringjoy when we toured Stringjoy and did that video. They're hugely affecting how strings feel is core to wrap proportion. So like you could put 13 to 56s or 13 to 54s on an acoustic, for example. I have 13 to 54s on my acoustic over there. I could put 13 to 52s or 13 to 54s on my electric guitar, and they will not feel near as stiff. Exactly what you're saying. But what it has to do with is the diameter of the core, how do I say it? The overall gauge of the string, the outside gauge of the string, is the same. But if the center core is small and there's a lot of windings, like the winding is big, then it'll be more flexible than if the center core is thick and the winding is thin. So that's the difference. When you play different brands of strings and they feel different, even though you're using 10 to 52s, or 10 to 52s are on my brain for another reason. 10 to 46s, 10 to 48s, 10 to 52s, 12 to 56, 13 to 56, electric versus acoustic. It all has to do with that ratio. And I think the shape of the core too, as well as, obviously the scale length too, of the guitar can make a big difference as well. So the shorter the scale length, the skinnier it's going to feel. It's going to feel slinkier. So that's a cool question. That string stuff is very interesting to me. It's very interesting to me. Very interesting. Ed had a couple questions here. Oh, actually, Ed had an update. So this is Ed Billy B and Blues. Joined our Patreon. And he said a couple of things. This was the second thing he said. These are out of order, but it doesn't matter. The tinnitus type ring in my rig wasn't a tube. Remember during a couple of lives ago, he was like, and we were all trying to help him, where everybody was like commenting like, why is your guitar ringing? Why is your amp ringing? I added an additional power supply to my pedal board, and I noticed it was gone. Poof. Okay, so this is very cool. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is A, because you shared it, and B, because this is a fantastic tip. And in our next videos about pedalboard stuff, I'm going to mention this point. I had the same problem too. Certain pedals take more current, and when they don't get enough current, their power supplies freak out and they make whistling noises. It's the weirdest thing. I had it happen with Strymon pedals. Have to have the proper power supply. Otherwise, and they use a lot of power, some of them. And it did the same thing to me, and I didn't even think about that when I was trying to answer this for you before. And I had to do the same thing. I had to switch up a power supply. It can happen when you're using like a one-spot daisy chain with a bunch of pedals. So like a one-spot daisy chain, and I want to do a video about this, but a one-spot daisy chain will work if you have, let's say, a wah doesn't use very much pedal, a boost doesn't use or power, a boost doesn't use very much power, an overdrive doesn't use very much power. Most overdrives don't use very much power. But when you get into fuzzes, when you get into delays, anything that has any kind of DSP, so like a Strymon timeline, a Strymon Flint, anything that's going to use more current, that little one spot may not be enough, and then it will cause that to happen. And actually, eventually, it'll ruin your pedal. So or the power supply, depending on depending on what's causing it, whether it's the power supply not being enough or it's the pedal drawing too much, which sounds like the same thing, and it kind of is, but they're not the same problem, but they're causing the same effect, and then it'll burn up. So anyway, that's a really good thing to bring up, and I'm glad that you figured it out, and I'm glad we were able to share that with everybody. Thanks, Ed. He had another question too. I'm working on a friend's guitar, hence the pot question. Oh, we'll bring up that in a minute. Not a super high-end guitar. It rhymes with Ray Purser, which it means it's probably a J terser. But it had an Epiphone hum in the neck at 12.3K and a stock whatever in the bridge at 11.2K. I replaced the neck with Alnico 4 Old Timer from Tone Rider, but now the bridge sounds like a huge signal loss and the neck sounds good. Okay, so you actually also put a note on another comment on Patreon talking about your volume pop being wacky, sounds to me like you got a short somewhere. And I would actually check that Tone Rider pickup that you just bought and see if that thing is shorted. Check both leads of it to ground and make sure that you have the proper resistance. And then I would also check your tone pot and make sure that from the ground to the output, and you turn it all the way around, that it acts smoothly and it doesn't give you any weird shorts or anything. It sounds like you have a short somewhere. I wouldn't call it electrical gremlins because there is a cause. I don't think it's going to be an intermittent thing, but I think it's going to be something wrong. You do have a problem. There is a short there. It shouldn't be like that. And then our last one is from a YouTube member, Brett. With many Fender basses in similar shapes to guitars, Jag, Mustang, and elongated Strat, so like a jazz bass or a P bass, why aren't there any tele body style basses outside of special runs? I don't know. And I have talked about this. I have, in the past, when collaborating with other builders, have brought up the idea of building a bass in a tele body. I have had clients request building a bass in a tele body.
It's just never happened.
But it's just never really come together. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why. And as what's the right word? Passionate as people are about teles, you would think that that would be a thing. But maybe because Fender didn't do it in the 1940s, maybe people wouldn't do it. I don't know. But I think it's a cool idea. That is a great question. And it should be considered at some point, I believe. We've had 55 chats.
Yep.
All right, strings. People are talking about strings in the comments. Awesome. What questions do you have? We'll handle a few of your questions, and then we'll talk about the highlighted topic. And
Okay.
then maybe we'll go back to some questions because people will have more.
Not really a question. Actually pretty early before we went live, Thomas Tourville said, just would like to thank you for all the hard work you put into your videos. I'm trying to become a setup tech, so learning from you and getting the tools to do the job correctly.
Thanks, Thomas. And he actually just joined our Patreon last week.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Egan asked, did we tour the distillery?
Okay, so we didn't actually. So,
this is like a sister
satellite,
location.
yeah.
They don't make it there.
However, over 4th of July weekend, we will be in the town where their main one is.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
maybe we
may
will.
still do that. Yeah, we haven't toured any. Except for, well, I guess it's been COVID-y. That's the problem. I'm hoping that, here's the thing. Okay, so last year when we were traveling, or we are always traveling, for the last year, we haven't been able to do anything because everything's been COVID-y. Now it's not as COVID-y as many places, and now I have the thing I can't talk about, and now it's like causing us...
Somebody else said you need to stop talking about the thing you can't talk about.
No, I want to talk about it because I want it to build some major anticipation because it's going to be awesome. Unless it doesn't work, then
you'll never know.
Then you'll never know. But but it pretty much works. Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
Chad Johnson wants to know, do pickups get better with age also?
No, they get worse. Especially plain enamel pickups because the enamel gets old and it dries out. It becomes more brittle. Lacquer dipped pickups get brittle and then they break. Coils break. In fact, somebody today gave me a pickup to check for that same problem.
Interesting.
Yep. Super chat.
We do have a super chat.
Do you have any wiring diagrams for the Slant 6 pickups I just received?
Thanks for the super chat, Ivan.
Yes, Ivan. If you actually scan the little code on the little card in the thing, you go like this, you scan it with your phone, and it will take you to a hidden page on our website that has the wiring diagrams for all of our pickups. And I did it like that because we're all like 21st century and whatnot, because I wanted to, cut down on...
So those aren't special at all?
No, they're not.
Okay.
But they're not coil splittable. Slant 6 pickups are not coil splittable, so you disregard that part. There's people outside yelling. Anyway, so, but the long and the short of this question is, long and the short of this question would be, red is hot, white and braid are ground, twist the green and the black together, and tape them off.
He said, sorry, I can't read.
Yep.
It's not just a pretty card. It has purpose.
No, we started doing that because I figured it would be easier, like if we add a model or if we change something, then I can just change that page.
We don't have to change all our materials.
Yeah, because you order printed stuff like 500 at a time or whatever, and so I just figured, that'd be cool. Let's do that. But there have been, and I'm not calling you old, Ivan, because I know you're not old, but there have been some folks who are less than technically savvy who have had an issue doing that because flip phones don't work. So there is...
Maybe they just send you a message. You can send them a link, though, right?
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. And maybe I should just put you could type the link in. Maybe I should do that, too.
Next time we
Next
order.
time. There's a bug in here. So, anyway, thanks for the question, Ivan.
Also...
and for the super chat, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Just to... I saw a conversation, so it looks like Jeffrey McRickard met Boris the Bullet Dodger and got a guitar from him. So he's currently setting up this new to him guitar that he got from somebody he met in the conversation. So that's really cool.
Awesome. Very cool. That's very cool.
Yep. Somebody said, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, everyone. Thanks, Chris, for that reminder. Let's see. Everybody said you should have got the yearly replace plan for DJI, because then you could have got $99 total replacement.
I know. I wonder if I can still buy it for my new one. I probably should look into that.
Shouldn't crash it. What do T-Rose pickups? What do you think about underwinding with 42 AWG and using undercharged A8 magnets to increase overall output?
Okay. So, I was just talking about this today, actually. When you quote-unquote underwind, I hate those terms. Okay, so this is a really good question. Terry. This is Terry from Knoxville.
He also said come see him. By the way.
Yeah. So we were going to come see you last week, and we were in Knoxville getting a bunch of stuff done, and sudden health issues did not permit us to spend the entire day doing what we were going to do, and so we
got stuck in a lot of traffic.
Yes.
It was pretty horrible.
Yeah, like an hour trip turned into 2.5 hours, and we were trying to rush home. So it was a weird day. Okay, so let's talk about this output thing. The number of winds on the pickup have less to do with the overall output than a lot of people think. And the magnet has a lot to do with it. Well, they're both components to it. But it's not just about output when you make those adjustments. It's also about the resonant peak of the pickup, because it moves when you change the magnetic charge and when you change the amount of wire that's on the pickup. And I'm not just talking about resistance. When the inductance changes by changing either of those two things, the resonant peak of the pickup changes. And what I mean by resonant peak is, think of it, and it's a little more complicated than this, but to explain it simply, the resonant peak is the frequency that that pickup makes the best. I guess that's the easiest way to say that. And so you have some pickups that are like, they make low frequencies better and they make high frequencies better, and mid-range, or like, what's that song?
Vogue? I don't know. Genie in a bottle.
Yeah.
Where are you headed with that?
Anyway, walk like an Egyptian.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
take it way back.
Yeah, well, so you have to take all those things into consideration, because it's not just about output. And I think I was having this conversation with somebody today about the amount of output that something has. I wish people would stop using that term and focus more on where in the sonic space they want their pickups to be. Because every pickup can be loud as long as what it's being loud against is not as loud. So if you have a pickup that doesn't have any mid-range, like a scoopy mid-range pickup, and then you're playing with a bass player, that pickup doesn't have enough output. But that could be an EMG with bajillions of K of everything and lots of output. Or you could have a DAF with very low output and not very much magnet with a bass, and it'll be way loud because it's different place in the sonic space from the bass. So yeah, it is a concern. It is a thing that can happen, but it is also not the main focus. So the bottom line is, you have to experiment, and you also have to decide what you want the thing to sound like. Do you want scoopy mids? Sometimes you want scoopy mids, like a second and fourth position on a Strat. You want it to be super scoopy, but you don't want it to be scoopy on the neck position of the Strat or on the bridge position of the Strat. So the answer is yes, but it's also not necessarily what you want. Yeah, that's a really complicated, easy question, because it's all the things. Like, every little thing matters there.
So we're about 30 minutes in. Do you want to cover your main topic?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I sold the gold tele to a longtime viewer, Michael Golden. He's a really cool guy. He's bought pickups from me a lot. He's a really nice dude. And I'll tell you a couple things about that. He wants not reverse wound, reverse polarity pickups. So I actually had to make a different neck pickup for him and put it in that guitar, because he wants them not to be reverse wound. He doesn't want them to be hum canceling in the middle position. Which I thought was like, wait, that's weird. Why are you doing that? Because he's putting in a noise canceling coil, which I need to do a video about. And I'm glad he brought this up when he bought this, because I hadn't thought about this. If you do a noise canceling coil and your pickups are wound different directions, then the phase will be screwed up when you're trying to use that coil. So you have to worry about the direction of it all being hooked up. So anyway, so we switched that out, and then I touched up the fretwork, because that was a guitar that we built like in an hour and a half on a live video. So I touched up the fretwork on that thing, polished the frets, got it all set up. Rolled the edges of the fretboard. That was another request that he had. I should have made a video about that, but I didn't. Anyway, I'll do my other guitar and then we'll make a video about it. But anyhow, so he bought that guitar, and I was like, okay, cool. I will. I think I know what tele I want. Because for those of you that are not on Patreon, tomorrow comes out the What American Standard Tele or What American Tele Should You Buy video comes out tomorrow. If you're on Patreon or a YouTube member, you've already seen that video. And I also today just shot What Mexican Tele Should You Buy, and I'm about halfway through the edit. That edit will get finished tomorrow morning, and then that will be on Patreon, and it will come out Monday. Okay. After, and honestly, doing those videos and like looking at all the specs, I decided I wanted an American Performer Tele because it's only like $11.49 or like $11.99 or something, and the highest end Mexican Tele is about the same price. Maybe it's $100 less, but I was like, well, I might as well get the American one for $100. It's not that it matters because I'm going to tear all the parts out that matter anyway. I'm going to put new pickups in it and stuff. So I don't really care, but I was like, I mean, I can buy an American Standard Tele. That'd be awesome, you know, American Performer. There aren't any. Anywhere. Unless you want a sunburst. I cannot stand sunburst guitars that are not Les Pauls.
Interesting.
That is my official stance on colors. Because if you've been following my channel for a while, you know.
What if it wasn't a traditional sunburst? What if it was...
Still don't care.
All right.
They have the American Ultra, whatever, fancier one.
There's Ultra in the name and you don't want it? Anyway.
It's like
what?
It's like a blue burst, and then like a silver burst, which I think is totally gross. I like painted finishes. I do not like fancy wood. I do not care about super figured, whatever, fancy anything. I don't care about any of that.
He likes some Bass Boat Sparkle, though,
I do
y'all.
like me some Bass Boat Sparkle. That is definitely faux show. But I don't like fancy wood. It's never been a thing for me, man. Like, you know, we used to build a long time ago with that other builder and all that fancy stuff. And I had one guitar that I really liked. It was that offset guitar with the 3 P90s in it with the, like the spunky ash top, like with a Bigsby on it. I really liked that guitar. I liked my V with the waterfall Babinga top. I liked that guitar, but not because of how it looked. It could have been white or black.
Yeah,
I didn't
it was
really
just
care.
fun to play.
It was just a good guitar. I just don't like fancy wood. So if you go on Sweetwater right now, if you go on Zounds, if you go on Musician's Friend, you will have a very difficult time trying to find standard Telecast, like American Telecasters, American Stratocasters, SGs, Les Pauls. Now cheap stuff like Squires, you can find them. You can find, I'm talking about the core brands. Now, of course, you can go and find probably some Charvel stuff, but you can't find the Charvel that I wanted. You can't find, what was the other brand? You can't find the Schecter that I wanted, because I thought, well, maybe I'll just go buy a Schecter PT, because it's a Tele, basically. Can't find the one I wanted, unless it's a freaking sunburst.
Yeah. So, while we're talking about this, Jeffrey Egan said, I guess I won't post a pic of my Teles in your Facebook group. If you love them, you can love them.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
All of you like different things. So,
No, and I'm happy for anybody
Yeah.
to like anything. It does not bother me that somebody else likes something different than me. If I'm going to pick something for myself, it's going to be either it's going to be a painted finish, or it might be like a blonde, like a really blonde Tele, but not the yellow kind. I mean like white, like Mary Kay, like the Mary Kay Tele, Mary Kay Strat. You probably don't know what that is, but in the 60s, there was a
Mary Kay in my head goes pink, so.
It kind of was. And it was like a super transparent white when you could see the grain through it. My joke always, it's probably why I got kicked out of all the Facebook groups about building guitars because everybody would have this beautiful. What's really funny is, I'll tell you what's really funny. I used to post pictures of bodies, like I'm gonna build guitar bodies. I'm gonna build, I used to use poplar a lot, which is an ugly wood, but it would have like some kind of grain going through the middle, but it's green. Like poplar is green when you look at it, so it's not really that pretty. No lie, 10 people would be like, whatever you do, make sure that the wood grain shows through, man. And I'm like, it's ugly. It's like the ugliest wood ever. You don't even use poplar unless you're going to paint it. People are super obsessed with wood grain, and it was just never a thing for me. I was like, so my joke was always, when somebody else posted a picture of some beautiful top, I would just be like, paint it black. Like, I don't care. Just paint it black. And don't even use nitro. Use whatever you want. Spray cans, I don't care. Just paint it black. Anyway, shopping for guitars. So this led me down this whole thing, this whole rabbit hole of like, okay, what guitars are on Backorder? And the bottom line is most of the good stuff is on Backorder. And I mean a long time. The tele that I want won't ship until September. That's not going to cut it for me. I need one now. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided. I started looking into why this is happening. The bottom line is the reason we're having a shortage of guitars is because of COVID, but not because of COVID. Let's just say guitar is not dead. In 2020, both Fender and Gibson had record sales years.
That's awesome.
Yes. Anything hobby related, not because of shortages, but because of actual increases in sales.
In demand.
And
yeah.
in demand has shortages. So I don't know what other hobbies y'all are in. You can maybe put them in the comments. The RC car thing. I couldn't find, I wanted a particular motor for an RC car. I couldn't find it because they just couldn't keep up with demand because everybody was getting into their hobbies last year. And that was the same thing for us. We had, 2020 was our best year too, ever, at Dylan Talks Tone. So it just so happens that pickups are easier to keep up with demand than I guess a whole guitar would be. And then I didn't have to lay anybody off because it was just me. So there is where COVID affected it just a little bit, a lot actually, because they shut down for a while and then you have this increase in demand and they're just now starting to kind of catch up. But I think it's going to be this way for a while. I think it's going to be another 6 months before you're going to be able to go into a store and everybody's going to be able to buy whatever they want. I actually went into a Guitar Center and there was nothing on the walls, and I thought it was because this was in November, and I thought it was because of their receivership situation and their potential bankruptcy and all that. And I was talking to the manager, and he's like, no, it has nothing to do with that. It's that when we call to order a guitar, there isn't one to order.
Yeah. And we just, the other guitar store we went to, what did he say? They have...
The Pickers Exchange place?
Yes. They have, like, they're not getting anything till, like, October or something. And his personal guitar he wasn't going to get for like a year.
And the only reason, did you know that Anthony Sims at Lucky Dog is almost 5 years out right now?
Yeah, I was there when he told you.
That's ridiculous.
It is. Really cool though.
It is really cool. And he's building a guitar. I think he's building like 6 guitars like every 6 weeks, and he is like 5 years out. Like he is slammed. And
they're beautiful.
And they are beautiful, yeah. So yeah, it's just really interesting how all this is, I was going to say something else too, I forgot. Before you talked about Pickers Exchange.
That just totally messed you up.
Oh, it was about the Pickers Exchange in Chattanooga. One of the other things he told me.
Same place, by the way.
Yeah, is he became a PRS dealer. But they told him, we're not going to be able to give you any guitars for like 6 months. And then it turns out that there was a misshipment to a dealer that isn't a dealer anymore or something.
Oops.
So PRS called up and said, hey, we have like 15 guitars, but this is all we have, whether you wanted it or not. And there's some duplicates in there and stuff, but if you want any guitars right now, you have to take these. And he took them.
Yeah.
And so now he's a PRS dealer, but that's all he's going to get for like 6 months.
Crazy.
And what blows my mind too is that's going to affect all those folks. Like if you don't have a guitar to sell, you don't eat. You know, it's not just us as consumers, it's the people that are trying to sell them. Like if they got to sell X amount of guitars in a month to keep the lights on, and they don't have anything to sell, that's hard, you know?
Yeah, people are talking about like workout equipment. Even BC Rich is trying to buy a microwave. Can't find one. We went through that too.
Yes.
Bicycles, tires.
Yeah. Yep. It's a demand thing for sure. I can definitely see that being affecting other things. You know, it's a really interesting thing. So, what I will say about that, and of course, it was in the news in our gear news this week about boutique amps in California burning down, and I got some more insight on that today. So. Don't hold me to this, but a little bird told me that a little bird told him. So you know how that goes. But the way their buildings are arranged, so that complex, that, for those of you that don't know, the factory that makes Friedman amplifiers and Wampler pedals and Morgan amps and lots of other brands, it burned down on the 1st of June. What I understand is, that a little bird told me from another little bird, is that there's a complex there that's kind of like all the same property. And in part of that complex is some tenants. So it's not the actual boutique amp place. And that place completely burned down. Like completely, it's not even there anymore. And the adjacent or attached building with boutique amps stuff in it suffered a loss due to smoke and water and all the things associated with it. So there is a loss. I'm sure they have a bunch of... I wonder if they're going to have like an actual fire sale. Like you'll be able to get like a Friedman Brown Eye 50 that smells like smoke.
Somebody said it flooded, so that's not good. And then somebody else, this is really why I laugh, not about the flooding. I really laughed because somebody said, was the little bird that cardinal attacking the window?
No, but we do have a red-headed woodpecker that lives right over there. I've been trying to get a picture of it for like 2 weeks and I haven't been able to do it.
And we have squirrels and chipmunks, and that's weird to me to have them in the same place. Mm-hmm. But
yep. So anyway, they did suffer loss, but it doesn't sound like from what I heard anyway that it's like a complete loss. They're gonna have to build a new building. You know what I mean? Like I think it's, I don't know, but I don't think they're gonna have to start from scratch. So that's pretty good.
Was that your whole story?
That's it. That's all my story about that. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you about that whole demand thing. It's crazy, and I'm happy about it because it means that guitar stuff is up. It means that, I mean, it really does. I've been doing a bunch of market research lately, and kids are playing guitar. Females are playing guitar. Like not to, I don't mean that as a sexist remark. I mean that as typically, like for example, our audience is like 98% male, or like 2% female. So that's math, right? Yeah. So it's something like that. It's like, or a 1.5% female, and probably that's you and like my sister and maybe my mom. Like that's probably who the females are that watch my channel. And what I see that as is a potential market of folks that have not yet been reached yet. Mm-hmm. I don't see that as they're not playing guitar. I just think they don't know. And so I'm happy that when you go into a Guitar Center, there's a bunch of kids trying to play Stairway to Heaven. Like, I'll tell you, this is another little kind of anecdote about how guitar is doing too. In our hometown, in Augusta, Georgia, where we're based out of, I know I can go into any guitar store there just because of living there for so long and knowing people. I pretty much know everybody that are the main folks that work at all the guitar stores, right? Like, I know the guy that owns this store. I know the guy that owns that store. I'm friends with the guy that owns this other store. And everybody was worried that when Guitar Center came to town, that it was going to put all these little guys out of business. And I go into Guitar Center repeatedly just to experiment and see. I go in there on a Saturday afternoon, and the place is mobbed. Like, absolutely mobbed. And I've been in there one time in 2 years where I knew someone. Usually I know everybody in that town. I didn't know anybody. Which tells me that there is a whole nother group of folks that are coming into music that, I mean, I don't mean that I know everybody, but I'm just saying I thought it was an interesting thing. I figured I'd walk in there and be like, oh, hey, what's going on, man? I'd run into people I knew or whatever because it's the community. But it's so big that it's attracting a whole new group of people that aren't in the normal crowd. You know what I mean? Which I think is really cool. And I'm glad it's happening. So, on one hand, it sucks that nobody has my tele in stock. But at the same time, it's awesome that they're all being bought. And it also shows you that as much as people say that wood colors are important, they're not, because they're the only ones left on the shelf, number one. And number two, it's also cool to know that all the expensive guitars, all the American guitars, and the higher end Mexican guitars are the ones being bought. And that the supply of cheap guitars is fine for what it is for, but folks are wanting to buy nicer stuff, which I think is really cool. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah. When you think about what's left, you know.
Yep. So related to that, Chad Johnson asked, are you experiencing any material shortages or delays like so many other industries? How about price increases?
So pick guards are a pain in the butt right now. We have like 3 folks that have ordered very recently loaded pick guards and custom pick guards, and they're taking forever right now. But that's because my vendor is doing a remodel on their shop, so that's probably particular to WD. That's where I get my pick guards from. There has been some shortages of things, but they've not been very long ones. And I've been able to work my way around it. As far as price increase goes, I don't think you have seen it yet. This is one thing that kind of scares me. The price of copper, for example, is up. And so when we buy like a 5-pound roll of copper, it costs X amount of dollars a pound per roll of 42. Well, if that goes up 25%, which it will, my pickup can't really go up 25% in price, even though this is the number one component. So that is a little bit of a scary thing to me. I don't know what that's going to do. And I know that you have not seen my prices go up yet. I mean, they go up about 5% every year. That's part of inflation. But I did not raise my prices at the beginning of 2021 because I knew that we were probably going to have to raise them mid-year, like second quarter or third quarter, depending. So I didn't want to do it twice. And I also wanted to be easy on anybody who might have been broke because of the pandemic and couldn't. So I didn't want to raise prices then just because of inflation. I kind of
Yeah,
want
but it's mid-June. Well, almost mid-June. So
to.
it looks like you'll
Yes.
make it through the first 2 quarters
Yeah.
then.
What I'm worried about is, so here's why this is the case, because we buy so much stuff, and we don't order very often anymore. It used to be that I would order like every 2 weeks, but now we order like every 2, 3 months. Because we're on the road, it's easier for me to get bigger quantities at the same time. So that's done two things. One is it's actually made things more bearable in price because I buy more at a time. So the unit price comes down,
And shipping.
and shipping, so it offsets any increase in price for a while. But the bad thing is that I'm making pickups for you today on a roll of wire that I bought 3 months ago at 3 months ago's prices. So next week or the week after, I think I'm going to have to buy another bunch of pounds of wire. And then I will know whether I'm going to have to raise my prices or not. So it's like this whole delay thing. Same thing is happening with fuel. Same thing that's happening with everything else. It's just a delay of when it actually makes it to, you know. And that's the other thing. Fuel goes up. The last time fuel really went up, UPS didn't raise their prices, but they started putting fuel surcharges on all their shipments. And then that added 10 or 15% to my shipment costs every time I ordered something. So, you know, there's all these weird hidden costs. So it's going to be a problem. I would say for another year, I think.
To recover from all this, yeah.
I think so.
That was a good question, though, Chad. Jeffrey Egan says AIO, is that a company? AIO makes tele-style bases.
I don't know.
Chris Hendricks question, Gretsch jet wiring. Pickups to individual volumes, volumes to selector, selector out to master volume and master tone. Replace the pickups, now the master volume doesn't cut volume fully. Thoughts?
Somebody yesterday called me and asked me about this too. It doesn't cut it all the way down.
Doesn't cut volume fully.
I don't know. Chris, I'll get back to you on that. Because I'm not sure. Because it doesn't seem like it would be a bad pot because it worked yesterday. So, I don't know. I had somebody else call me yesterday about that master volume on a Gretsch, like cutting on and off like a switch. And that's taper. And it almost makes me wonder if the resistance of your new pickups and everything is so different that that taper is not, doesn't like it, like it's not proportionate properly. But that sounds dumb in my head, like I'm saying it out loud, but it sounds dumb in my head, like that doesn't make sense. I'm gonna think about that one, and shoot me a message or something, and I'll try to help you figure that out, because that is weird.
Chad Johnson said, is the thing you can't talk about a Batfish MK2?
I'll tell you, I would love to build another Batfish series. I really would. That was really, really fun. And we may at some point. Official word at this time is that we are not building guitars. I love it. And I may build myself a guitar, kind of like what we did with... I sold that gold tele for $800. Okay, so it wasn't expensive, but we all know it was a parts caster. I built it live on YouTube. So you may see some of that. You know, we're building a tele for the Patreon workshop, so that guitar is being built for the purpose of videos. I may, because I can't find a tele, I might have to build myself another tele. Like, so I'm not saying I'm not building any guitars, but I'm not taking orders for the foreseeable future.
So no, it's not a batfish.
It is not a batfish. I would love it to be. Now the only exception to that is I am working on the Great Guitar Build-Off guitar that is no longer the Great Guitar Build-Off guitar because we've pulled out of that. But that guitar will become a production model if there is interest. That's why I pulled out of the Great Guitar Build-Off, because I did not want there to be any kind of like, since it kind of became, I don't want to say a selfish thing, but it was a thing that I wanted to do, and it didn't really have anything to do with what the cause of all of that was. I didn't want to like be inappropriate about it, so I just kind of pulled out of it. And there's some other reasons too that I'm not getting into at this time, but we will share the other reasons why I pulled out in the next couple weeks, publicly, maybe next Thursday.
Alrighty. Andy Dion says, Dylan, you ever use the little Thunder pickup? It's a stereo out and plays the lowest string so you can play bass and guitar at the same time.
I never even knew what that was until Texas Toast built their 3-neck thing and put one of those in it. I'd never even seen that before. And that is a very cool thing. I've never seen it. I've never tried it. Never messed with it.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Holt says, why do we not see many Jags around, especially when you look at how much you can do with it?
I don't know. Is that a scale length thing? Also, pickups are kind of weird.
Yeah, Telequacker said they got a Jag this year and they like it a lot except the bridge.
Yeah, bridges are problematic a little bit. I'll tell you what fixes a bridge on a Jazzmaster or a Jag. A shim. Downward pressure on them saddles fixes it right up.
Account email says, can you upgrade trash pickups by... I'll just read it. Can you upgrade trash pickups by wounding more copper? I'm sure they mean winding.
It's not worth it. I get that question a lot. Can I send you these Ibanez pickups and have you rewind them? No, because it's not worth it. Because we have to replace the magnets, we have to cut it all out, and no, it's not worth doing. It's not cost effective, and then it won't sound any better either.
And then some comments when you were talking about guitars. So somebody said that Mexican Nashville tele is bad to the bone. Somebody said if it's an Ultra, it has to be gloss white with the black binding.
Agreed.
Somebody else said can't go wrong with neon. Somebody said they have surf green American Squires on Sweetwater. T-Rose Pickup says, have you checked out G4G, which stands for Geeks for Guitars, T-type guitars?
I have not. You guys want to see a cool guitar that I almost bought yesterday?
Was it available?
It is available. I will buy this guitar if someone agrees to buy it from me when I'm done.
Oh, didn't you post it?
Yes,
Yeah.
because I probably won't want to keep it. But I will screen share this with you in a moment. Share screen, Chrome tab, ESP. All right, you ready? Bam! Look at that beautiful thing. White with a pearl binding, Fishman Fluence pickups, and an Evertune bridge. I want to try an Evertune so bad, and I want to do a video about it. The problem is that the bridge is almost $400. I think I just saw Firefly.
Oh, yeah.
See him? I think I just saw another one. Cool.
Yeah,
We are in Firefly
we are.
zone.
And also, I was super distracted earlier. If we're going to talk about what's outside the windows, I was super distracted earlier because somebody near us, one has a new puppy and also has a monkey. So they were
Yes.
outside with the monkey, and I was super distracted.
So bound top, Fishman Fluence pickups, and a super strap body with an Evertone bridge. This is a thing, and I want one. What a cool deal. Anyway, I just share that with you guys. That's kind of Thomas Tourville. Should see if he has another question because that's a super chat. He gave us a super chat with no words.
Oh, yeah. Let us know
So
if you had a question.
sometimes
Maybe you
people-
couldn't type them together or,
Yeah.
yeah, let us know. All right.
Yep. Awesome.
Dean McCaskill says, "Hi, you guys. Talking of that subject, probably a little delayed. When do you think used guitars and amps, for that matter, will come down to actually, quote, used prices?"
I don't think they're going to for a while.
It's gonna
So
take a while.
this was something I wanted to talk about also, as an extension. I've seen a lot of people.
That's stuck.
I've seen a lot of people. Well, you know how whiny the internet gets, right? Like, so then they're like, used prices are going through the roof on Reverb. It's a demand thing. It's a demand thing. I'll tell you right now. My motorhome, which is usually a depreciating piece of garbage. Like, these things depreciate so bad. I'll tell you right now, if I put a for sale sign in the window, it'd be gone in a week and I could make money on it. It's just a supply and demand thing. I actually was tossing around trading in my Jeep and buying a Ford Ranger, and I could get more than I paid, almost more than I paid for my Jeep, trading it in, because there are no vehicles to buy. But then I thought, well, then I have to wait 6 months for a Ford Ranger because they're in high demand. Like, it's like, so what do you do? You know? So of course I'm not going to. I'm going to keep my Jeep. But it's everywhere. It's all of those things, and demand is up for everything. And I think you're just going to have to deal with it. I mean, I hate to say it. And the one thing I will say is that I would just hold out for nice examples. So when you see me selling something, just buy it from me. And you're going to pay more for it, but it's going to be really nice and not all beat up. But that's what I would do. I would make sure that you're trying to buy a nice example. I am not a person who says, if the guitar costs $1,000, then the used guitar should only cost $500, and if it costs $600, then it's overpriced. I don't believe that. The guitar was $1,000 when it was brand new. If it's $800 and it's brand new looking, then it's still brand new. It's still worth it. If it's beat up, then maybe it needs to be worth $400 or $500. And I'm also not a person who, and I know that it doesn't matter to anybody, but I'm also not a person who is like, I don't know, like, if you take a Squire and you put like a, let's see, like a Classic Vibe, those are $549 for a Squire Classic Vibe Tele, and you put $400 worth of pickups in it, the chances are it's not going to be worth $900, but it is going to be worth more than you paid for it. Whether the people on Reverb or the people that whine at you in the comments and say it's a Squire, so it's only worth whatever, no, it's worth more than you paid for it. I mean, if it's a brand new guitar and you put money in it, everybody knows that you can get those Squire pickups on eBay for $5. So taking those out and putting in a $300 set of pickups and wiring and everything, it's not offsetting each other. That guitar is worth more money now. And I think we need to normalize that, especially right now when we're talking about an availability issue with other good stuff. You know, I mean, yeah, I think that's a really important thing to think about.
Super chat.
Which pickups of yours should I get for my thin line tele?
Thank you for the super chat,
Thanks,
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey. Is that just regular tele pickups? It is, right? Our flat sixes, man. Those are the jam. Those are the jam. I was actually tossing around today making another model of tele pickups. And then I was doing some testing and I was like, these are the best. Why? Literally, I was doing pickup testing today and I was like, these are so good. And if I tried to make something better, it would just be a little different, I guess. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think it would be as good. They are so good. And it sounds like I'm bragging. But when somebody else I respect, like, picks up the guitar and plays it and says, dang, these are so good, I'm just like, okay, like, it's not just me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's a different thing. That is a different thing.
Paul McNary says, you just showed what was under your hat. You were messing with your hat and hair, I think.
Oh.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, I have hair. I'm not bald.
At all.
Not bald at all.
The Guitar Hangout says, Dylan, I'm deciding what pickup I'm going to purchase from your website, but I notice you don't sell potentiometers. Is that something you will carry in the future?
It is something we carried in the past, and I no longer carry them because inventory management for that is really difficult. And I have decided to only make pickups. As much as I want to do all the things, and honestly, only make the pickups that I'm really good at. So we kind of pulled all that stuff off. We used to make all kind of stuff. We used to sell all kind of parts. I had a whole page with, you could buy 4-way switches and 3-way switches and super switches and all the build parts. But here's what happened. Not very many people bought it, which means I had to keep $1,000 worth of inventory. Because by the time you buy a few of each of the things, then you have $1,000 of inventory and you have to store it all. And then you get 6 emails a day asking for something that's kind of like what's on the website, but that you don't really have and you don't intend on carrying. So it puts all this time management of like answering bajillions of emails. How come you don't carry this? Why? Do you have that? Will you carry this? It's these questions, which this is the place to ask them, but like 6 times a day in the email. And then they end up not buying. What happens is, and this is what I learned, because I don't have that pot, they don't buy the pickup. That's what I found. So
streamline, focus,
make pickups, and just be really, really good at what we know how to do. Mm-hmm. And it works. And I know I'm giving you like a little more information, and it sounds, but I like to be super upfront about that stuff and I want people to know how all this works, because sometimes we will gain or lose clients based on a lack of information on how the business works. Because a lot of people will say, your pickups are more expensive than so-and-so's pickups. And I'm like, well, here's why. Because this, and this, and this, and this. So if you watch these live things and I give you some of this behind the scenes stuff that seems like I'm kind of airing my business, I kind of want to. Because I want you to understand how it all works so that you can kind of appreciate when you see something, why it's priced the way it is, why we don't have a certain thing. Like, I like you to know all those behind the scenes things, because it makes for a more streamlined customer experience when you go to buy stuff, because you already know. You know what I mean? Educated clients.
Yes. Angel Raven 444 says, "Yo, Dylan, what
Yo.
would be a great set of pickups to put in my 28-year-old black made in Mexico Strat?" I don't
Well, it's
know. Or
black.
BLK. Does that always mean black?
It's black, so that changes things. Because you know color and tone. I'm just kidding. Made in Mexico Strat. So here's a question. And I never ask this, but we were talking about this today. Who do you want to sound like?
Ooh.
If you want to sound like John Mayer, Stevie Ray, uh, who's the Sultans of Swing guy? Dire Straits. Mark Knopfler. If you want really good cleans that get dirty when you make them dirty, or when they're dirty, they clean up, really kind of versatile, then get the classic fives. If you want to play straight rock and do lean more towards Pearl Jam, more towards I don't know, like Rory Gallagher kind of stuff, then get our hot fives. Because they're going to hit the amp better. They don't clean up quite as well. They still are amazing Strat pickups. But they don't have that like tubular kind of super clean sound that the classic fives do. So if you use pedals all the time, the hot fives are cool. Because then you can set your amp super clean and have really clean sounds. And then put a pedal in front of it to make it dirty, and it'll be really dirty and be really rocky. Or you can use the classic fives for more usability with your knobs and stuff.
All right. Kenneth Crickmore,
Hey, Ken.
kind of a question statement. I don't know. Hey, Dylan, in that Gretsch master volume, the not reducing all the way, maybe a ground issue somewhere in the volume circuit.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Because of it only cutting down half. But I have to look at that circuit. I want to look at a wiring diagram and see what it's supposed to be, basically.
Chris Sean says, "I have a Gretsch Electromatic with blacktop broadtrons, and they sound a bit too dark. Do you think changing out the wiring and pots would improve, or should I change out both the wiring, pots, and pickups?"
If it is an Electromatic and it is one of the like $500 ones, a pot replacement can make a fairly big difference in the tone of that guitar. Those black tops are not known for their brightness, but I would not encourage you to spend all that money before you replace the pots and stuff. My guitar player in my band plays those black tops, and he gets plenty bright, but he also plays like a Music Man amp, and it's like really set up to be bright and crunchy.
Yeah, Super Chat is funny.
Yeah, so that's what I would say. Start with wiring and pots. Oh, we have a super chat. Doug. Dylan can't grow much of a beard, but he has the black hair of a rock star dreams of.
I love that.
I do. You just haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting. It's growing. I'm trying to grow it back out. Thanks for the super chat,
Yes,
Doug.
thanks,
I
Doug.
appreciate that very much.
It made me laugh.
It did. That was awesome.
Chad Johnson wants to know, has Leslie demanded a raise now that she's on-screen talent?
I don't know. Have you? I guess she'll ask me later or tell me about it later. I'm not sure. No, she has not asked for a raise. I will say we did make a conscious decision about probably 6 months ago now that she was going to help me a lot more with this stuff and kind of go all in. She doesn't sell makeup anymore. That other business, we kind of closed all that down and decided to go.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
A year and a half
I guess it's been a
ago.
year and a half ago now. But even even since then, it even became more so. Like, you've been helping me out with a lot more stuff and some other design stuff and some merch stuff and
That's been fun.
yeah. So I mean, we're really, our merch game is about to really go up. We're really working on that too. You haven't seen much of it, but I want more fun stuff. I mean, having my name on your head makes no sense to me. I think maybe that's why people don't buy
I think
it.
it's great.
Well, I mean, I understand why people may not. They want something more fun, like not just a name. So, or maybe you do. I don't know. But I'd like to sell more merch. So if, okay, so let's just ask this. There's 63 people here. What would you like to see in the way of merch that you would actually buy? Stupid shirts with sayings on them. Branded stuff like this. I really do. I would like to do like some whole like a racing, like a vintage racing kind of series of shirts that are Dylan, but they have like vintage racing stuff because of all of our pickups being named after, motors and race cars and stuff like that. That's my whole theme of all of my products. So, yeah, guitar straps. Dylan signature drones. I've got one I could sell you. It has my fingerprints all over it.
No other like it.
No, it is one of a kind. A lunchbox.
A lunchbox. We're all caught up. If
Awesome.
I didn't get your question and you're still here and you want to ask it again, please do. If you have super chat, we will stay on as long as they come in. But
You must incorporate pickups in the items. Yeah, I'm working on that. Yeah, I'm working on that.
somebody said they just got a t-shirt with a humbucker on it and the word humbucker under it. Maybe we're overthinking this.
I know. I think Ike has the best humbucker t-shirt ever.
What is it?
Remember Flipside Music? The Great American Guitar Store?
I remember the
In
store
Denver?
and who Ike is. I don't remember his shirt.
But it's just a big humbucker, and I wrote my name on it with a Sharpie.
You wrote on his shirt.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that.
But it's just a humbucker, and it says I'd tap that underneath it.
Yes, and you signed his shirt.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
I signed his shirt so it would have my name on his pickups. Yep. A lunchbox.
Oh,
amp.
there's the question from Thomas.
Oh, Ivan Ibanez RG. Do you make the pickups HSH for it? Heck yes, we do. Actually, I'm making an HSH setup for somebody right now. Yeah. Here's what I would do with that guitar. I would put our center punch in the neck, our classic 5 in the middle, and our 8-ball in the bridge. And I would put a combination coil split on the tone knob. You could do an individual coil split if you wanted, but I would do a combination one so that it coil splits both pickups at the same time. And I can tell you how to do that. It's really easy. That's what I would do. And that would be a really versatile guitar. Very, very versatile guitar. Your OG shirt is cool. Yeah, I think Dave's got one of those. Actually, Dave might have the original one in gray and red.
Original.
Dave, is yours is like this color with the red logo on it, right? Because I think you have the old one. Pretty sure. Dave's been around since... I mean, I think he's been around since almost the very beginning of Dylan Talks Tone. I'm pretty sure he's been around for most of it. Have you ever heard of Arbor pickups? Just today. Oh, Arbor guitars. Oh no, that was something else then. No, I have not.
He said his shirt is heather gray.
Oh, heather gray. So maybe he's got a newer one. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. You guys, this has been really fun. Thanks for hanging out. We have been going for an hour and 19 minutes. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight. This has been a good one. Couple things that we've got going, just FYI. New video tomorrow, 5 p.m. That's the American tele version of the video. Monday at 5 p.m. is going to be the Mexico version tele, that video. 2 videos. They're kind of long, but there's like so many Fenders. I kind of want to do a video. After you see the American one tomorrow, you'll kind of know why. I kind of want to do a video of why I think Fender has really screwed up their lineup. Or maybe we'll talk about that next week live or something. Maybe after those videos come out, maybe next week's live. Yeah, that's what it'll be. Next week's live, we'll talk about why I think Fender has completely screwed up their lineup. This is another thing I was talking about at work today. Just, they've really messed it up. And it's not something that, I don't know why they've done it, but anyway. So we'll talk about that next week after we've given you a chance to see both of those videos. And then, of course, news is coming out on Tuesdays now. Hope everybody's digging those. They're really fun to make. I like making them. So that's really fun. Yeah, awesome. Heavily customized. That's right, man. Exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. This has been cool. Dylan Talks Tone live Q&A on Thursdays every week. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button. There's 60 of you here, so hopefully you all hit the like button. And hopefully you subscribe and share our channel with your friends. I really do want to hit 100,000 subscribers this year. We hit 55,000 today. So that's pretty cool.
We're over halfway there.
We're over halfway there, and I just know it'll kind of accelerate a little bit as it grows, and so that's why I'm optimistic that it can be done in 6 months. So thanks for hanging out, and we will chat with you all later.